Hi guys, I want to go over Vertex Form again and what my expectations are for this quiz tomorrow. This would also be a good video to come back to check when it's time for our chapter test. So this is the graphic organizer you either already have or will get depending on what class you're in for our Unit 3 quadratic functions. Okay, notice that all roads lead to this middle. Represent and solve real-world problems. So we're going to be moving in that direction over the next couple of days. For the purposes of this video, I'm going to talk to you about vertex form. Okay, so I'm looking at the top part of that organizer. You have to be able to graph quadratic functions. Okay, the form we've talked about so far, there will be a second form which is hidden over here. We've talked about vertex form. This is what you should already have down in some notes, that the vertex form is y equals a times x minus h squared plus k. Parabolas have this property of symmetry. And that's, remember, where you can cut down the middle of a parabola or draw a line down the middle and you could fold and everything would match up nicely. The vertex of the parabola is the hk from the equation. Okay, so you're going to have to do two things. You're going to have to look at an equation and know the vertex. You're also going to have to look at a graph and be able to input the vertex into an equation. Okay, so this form you need to have ready to use, like memorized for tomorrow. Okay, so let's talk about first graphing a quadratic equation given or the curve, graphing a parabola given the quadratic equation. So the first thing you want to do, step one, you need to recognize the form of that equation. And it's what we just talked about. It's your vertex form. Okay, and here's that vertex form again. If you need to see it, y equals a times x minus h squared plus k. Okay, that's step one. Recognize what form. That's going to be even more important when we start working with different forms. You need to have this one in your mind and know the difference between. Step two is to figure out what the vertex is from the form. Okay, and that vertex, remember, is your HK ordered pair. So for us in this, if we want to look at the HK, the H comes from the x plus 3, and the K is the minus 5. Okay, so listen to how I worded that. I said the H comes from the x plus 3, but the equation says x minus h. Notice that difference? This says minus, this one says plus. So what does that mean about your H? Remember, it means that your H is negative. So instead of saying x plus 3, you think about it as x minus negative 3. Okay, x minus negative 3. Negative 3 is your h, negative 5 is your k. All right, so I'm going to try to plot a point for you. Just a normal pen would do. Let's see what I can do here. All right, so we're going to go to the ordered pair, negative 3, trying to see my grid, negative 3, negative 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we're going to put a dot there. Make it a little bigger. Okay, now moving on to step 3. We need to draw in the axis of symmetry, that line of symmetry. Remember, that's the x equals h. So if h was negative 3, the line of symmetry is going to be the line that goes through the vertex. It's a vertical line, okay? It's going to be the line that we could fold our parabola on once we get it drawn in here. All right, step 4. We need to find 2 more points. Okay, find 2 more points. And this, we could make a little table to do that or to organize our information. But 2 more points, one good point to find, one easy point to find, might be a y-intercept. Might be. When we find the y-intercept, sometimes it's really tall and it doesn't fit on our graph, or it's really low and it doesn't fit. But a y-intercept, remember, is the y value when x is 0. Okay, so we could find that. Something else you can do, thinking about the table, is just start stepping out from the axis of symmetry. Okay, so if the axis of symmetry is at x equals -3, then in this little table I'm talking about, substitute x equals -2 and see what y you have that will go with that. Substitute -1 and see what y. You need 2 more points. Your best bet is going to be to stay close to the axis of symmetry. Okay, so I happen to have already done this table, and I'm sorry I don't have it to show you. My board is acting weird. But if you substitute a -2, you should have a y value of -1, I believe. Check me. Okay, -1 should be your y value. And if you substitute -1 in, we're going to have to rise all the way up to +11. So I'm going to have to count this out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, so for those of you who are sitting at home and you're watching this and you're saying, how did you know that? All right, so I substituted the -1x in here in the equation and found y to be 11. I substituted the -2x, this one's -1, this is -2. I substituted the -2x in here and found -1. Okay, so you should be seeing one side of your U. The side, if you would connect this with the smooth U shape, that is going up. We can then, for step 5, let's not do any more in a table than we need to. Let's make this easy on ourselves. We're going to use the symmetry to mirror 2 more points. Okay, so we're going to, instead of going out 1 to the right of the axis of symmetry, we can go out 1 to the left and have another point. Up here, go out 2 to the right and 2 to the left, and you have the same y value. And now you have the 5 points you need to make a nice U shape. I know this one's really steep, but don't make it a V. It is a U shape. Okay, let's go on to writing the quadratic equation in vertex form for the parabola that's shown. Okay, so step 1, recognize the form of the equation that you are being asked to answer with. Okay, so that form is vertex form, just like it was before. And vertex form is still y equals a times x minus h squared plus k. All right, step 2, also the same. We have to identify the vertex. So the vertex on the parabola at the left is the maximum. And we're going to start using that terminology, maximum and then also minimum, over the next couple of days. That's a really ugly ordered pair. But the vertex ordered pair is -2, +1. That is your HK. -2, 1. All right. Now that will go in to this equation as the hx minus -2, which you can say x plus 2, and then plus the k plus 1. Okay. Again, my board was acting weird, and it's not saved my changes when I wrote this out for you, so I apologize for that. All right, step 3. We need to find the value of a. We have identified h, we've identified k. Now we have to identify a. And we do that by using one other point from our curve. And that point, what we do is I again step out one at a time from the vertex. In this case, we're going to have to go down. And I'm trying to see if the graph goes through a corner here. And it does, right there. So the ordered pair for that vertex, the one we're going to use as our xy, is similar, but it's left 1, down 2. So our other ordered pair we're going to use is -1, -2. Okay, so what we do with that is we take this ordered pair and we substitute it as an XY pair. This one is just a temporary substitute to let us find the A. So let me write that out for you. -2 equals A times -1, this is the X that from the point we just found, minus H is really plus this 2 squared. I'm going to raise that up in a second. I'll do it right now. And then plus K. All right, so this is what you have to do with step 3. You fill in the HK, you fill in the XY, and then you have to simplify this equation to solve it for A. Okay, simplify the equation to solve for A. When you do that, you are going to find that A is equal to -3. The negative you should have expected, remember, because this cup's down. All right, then your final answer, you're going to rewrite the equation in vertex form, filling in the HK ordered pair for H and K, and filling in the A value of 3, -3. The X and the Y, we do not fill in. We leave XX and YY in our final answer. Okay? One other thing for your quiz. We have been talking about different parts of a parabola, and this is in the key features part. So I call that the anatomy of a parabola. You're going to have to label and identify all of these key pieces. Okay, so what I mean by that is the vertex being down here. You should know where that is. The axis of symmetry, that line that cuts it in half. The y-intercept, where the line crosses the y-axis, and the zeros, which we have called before the x-intercepts. If you have any questions, let me know before you take your quiz tomorrow, and I'll see you then.